Today we're doing a van life Christmas cook-up, Aussie style. If you don't know what this is, and you've never had one cooked the way I'm gonna do it today, make sure you stick around because these are one of my favorite foods. I've got a couple of flatties here that I got yesterday fishing, so they're gonna be first on the agenda, so let's get stuck right into them. Flathead are a super iconic Aussie fish. We get them all around Australia and they go for about 50 bucks a kilo. Super easy to rip these fillets off, just straight across the back there. I couldn't find my filleting knife in the car, which sucks. And then once you got the fillet off there, crack his tail and then just get under the skin there without that coming off. And there's one great flathead fillet ready to go. And there's 4 beautiful high quality flathead fillets we caught less than 24 hours ago. And that's the remnants of the flatty. You can get these wings off here. There's a bit of meat in these wings. They're really nice, flatty wings. And just their rib cage runs along here. So I usually try and get most of those bones out there. And any that remain, you might get 2 or 3 more along here. I just get a pair of tweezers and just pull those pin bones out like that. Some panko breadcrumbs, bunch of salt, heaps of pepper, and my favourite gas cooker. I've been on the road for the last 3 months and it's nearly Christmas time, so I thought why not do a little Christmas cook-up, Aussie style, with a bit of seafood that I caught yesterday, and I got another little seafood next. There's a sick little spot by the river here. We just crossed back into the border for Victoria, and tell you what, I was welcomed with the cold weather as soon as we crossed the border. Part of being on the road is leaving your tongs at a frickin' hostel, so we're gonna have to make do with a fork here. A fork and a stick. Woo! That one's gonna be nice and crispy. These are looking bloody good. I've been on the, oof, nearly burnt my hand. I've been on the road for the last 3 months, fishing up and down, all the way from the south of Australia, all the way up the east coast to the north of Australia. I fished hard and long for really big fish and I didn't get one. I didn't get what I was after. I was fishing for big dewies, big GTs. This is chewing along really nicely here. But I thought what better way than to have a nice little Christmas cook-up right before Christmas, doing some of my favourite foods with some fish that I caught yesterday. I got something special in store after this one, and I've got one of my favourite foods ever coming up as the last little treat, so make sure you stick around to see what that is. Gets hard when you're on the road all the time fishing and seeing friends and whatnot in between and partying. Gets hard to have these cook-ups, so why not treat ourselves right before Christmas and do something special with 3 of my favourite foods. Oh. Check that out. Flathead's got to be one of my favourite fish to eat. It's just like super soft, and those panko crumbs definitely make it. Cooked in some olive oil, probably not the cheapest way to cook it, but it's all I had in the car, and that's part of cooking when you're on the road in the van. It's just making do with what you got and slapping shit together and making it work. And that's what we're doing right here. And I need some bacon for the next dish we're gonna do. I'm just gonna thinly slice this. And then for the next dish, it's one of my other all-time favorite foods, Oysters Kilpatrick. So I picked up a dozen Sydney rock oysters on the way down the East Coast. So what better way to have them than around Christmas time? And then the way just to open these guys up, I've got a dedicated oyster shucking knife here, but I've done it with butter knives in the past, but obviously the pointier the better. Just get it in the back of the oyster there and try and work it in as far as you possibly can. Well, not as far as you possibly can, but once you're in far enough, you just give it a little twist and then that shell should come off, and then you run the knife just underneath to cut it away and you're left with that oyster. Next is some Worcestershire sauce, just a couple of drops. A few pieces of bacon. Now I don't have an oven or any way to cook these. Well, actually I do, it's a bit unorthodox. I got this in the back of the van for lighting my coals, and I thought, why not cook them with this? Tell you what, I am bloody excited to try these. I've never tried that before, so excited to see how it goes. Oh, the soup's warm, so Merry Christmas. They've got like that actually like smoked the bacon a little bit. They've got kind of like a smoky flavor going on because it kind of like singed the end of it. That's awesome. I bloody love oysters. I only have them probably once every 3 months because they're not cheap. But have you got a recipe for me? Let me know down below if you got something you want me to try, because I always end up going to this because I love it. But if you got something else for me to try, let me know. Just smacking down a couple of oysters right before Christmas. I burnt my chopping board. Man, those oysters are so good. So that flathead and those oysters, Kilpatrick, or flatty tails, crumbed flathead, they're two super iconic Aussie dishes that you'll find on almost any pub menu. And the other one of my favorites, not on a pub menu, but you'll get them in the fish and chip shops, dim sims. They're similar to a dim sum, but different. So these guys were invented in Melbourne during the gold rush back in 1800s, I think. When all the Chinese came over to Melbourne during the gold rush and they didn't have all the ingredients that they had back at home. So this is what they ended up making, is these dim sims, and they're absolute goodness. And in Australia, we have them at all our fish and chip shops, and we either fry them or steam them. But one other really iconic Aussie way to have them is on the barbecue, and you just rip them in half. And they're just filled with meat and cabbage, and they're bloody awesome. Like little meat parcels. So these are some of my favorite foods to cook at Christmas time. Let us know where in the world you're watching from and what you love to cook at Christmas. Obviously this is a pretty rough and ready, on the road van life style Christmas cook up, but I've also got something that I love putting with these dim sims. It's a bit of a special secret ingredient that I only discovered recently, so I'll let you know once you see these finished. But yeah, I'd love to know what's like some staples that you have at Christmas time with your family. We always end up having oysters and some form of fish because I love my fishing, and we always beer batter it. And hey, I've done 2 of my favorites, and I don't think I've ever cooked dim sims for Christmas, but hey, there's a first for everything, eh? I'll just chuck a bit of oil in there to start them off, but definitely don't need too much. I guess these are kind of barbecued. This is my little portable barbecue. Definitely nothing too special here. It's a little bit windy out today, so try and lock some of that heat in. And I might set up a little windbreak just here as well. Hopefully that helps the flame. Yeah, that's already helping. Set this wind barrier up behind this secondary wind barrier. Okay, it's time to turn these bad boys. Oh yeah. That's what I'm after. That one there looks bloody banging. Oh yeah, these are looking good. If you haven't ever tried a barbecue dimmy, give it a shot. If you can't get your hands on dimmies, maybe a dumpling could work. Another very Aussie dish coming right up here. I don't think we'd ever sit down with a knife and fork and eat these, but just a little snack on the go. Can't wait to dig in. Oh, this thing worked. It just packed itself up, but that worked awesome. That's the first time I've used it. I'll pack that up later, stuff it. All right, let's get these dimmies off. Now, the secret ingredient I was telling you about is shiitake mushroom soy sauce. Now, if you don't like mushies, don't worry. I cannot taste 1% of mushrooms in this at all. It's just one of the smoothest soy sauces I've ever had, and it tastes awesome. I think it's only got like 1% mushrooms in that whole thing, so don't even worry about it. Just chuck it in, go get it. Get it from your Asian grocer though. That's the only place you'll be able to get this. It's just got that fat lady sitting on the front with a bottle of soy, and she looks happy. I would be too. It tastes bloody unreal. Anyway, this is a dim sim, barbecue dim sim, all done up. Let's have a crack. Whenever anybody asks me, because I'm from Australia, what foods we've got to offer, I never really know what to tell them because we're such a young country, but I reckon this has got to be one of Australia's finest foods that they've got to offer. So if you do end up in Australia, or you're from Australia, give a barbecue dimmy a shot. They're bloody unreal. For all of you guys out there, Merry Christmas, have a great New Year, and I'll see you on the other side. Yoo!